Now let's talk about politics, where Donald Trump is supporting Roy Moore for his bid for Alabama Senate race. Now, this comes no surprise, considering Donald Trump said last week that, he said, well, Roy Moore has denied it, so there you go. This is what he tweeted. Democrats' refusal to give even one vote for massive tax cuts is why we need Republican Roy Moore to win in Alabama. We need his vote on stopping crime, illegal immigration, border wall, military, pro-life, VA, judges, Second Amendment, and more. Now, forget the fact that more than half a dozen women have accused Moore of sexual misconduct. Forget the fact that Roy Moore can't even go to a certain mall in Alabama because he's been banned. You have 20 Republican lawmakers who demanded him to step down in light of the allegations, but
he should step aside. Number one, these allegations are credible. Number two, he should, if he cares about the values and the people he claims to care about, then he should step aside.
I think he should step aside.
Okay, that was November 13th and 14th. But on Sunday, Mitch McConnell, he said, I'm going to let the voters of Alabama decide what should happen. Well, here's the problem here, folks. They now need that vote. Republican National Committee, they're now back in Alabama supporting Roy Moore with money and votes on the ground. You know what that tells me? That tells me this is a very, very tight race in Alabama. And so they understand that Roy Moore could very well lose Sunday in an attempt to win some black support. Don't tell me what they're thinking. Moore met with churchgoers at the Guiding Light Church in Birmingham, and he read a Christmas poem to them. Oh, wow. Pastor James Lowe Jr. made the support of Moore a moral issue despite the immorality of him trying to get with young women. Some congregants walked out of church.
The law said he should have removed me. He said, no, because this is the word of God. Wouldn't support same-sex marriage. Why wouldn't he do that? The law said support it. He said, but the law of God is supreme. He's on the cross. He's being crucified right now.
I'm sorry. Please play that black. I said play that black.
He said, no, because this is the word of God. Wouldn't support same-sex marriage. Why wouldn't he do that? The law said support it. He said, but the law of God is supreme. He's on the cross. He's being crucified right now.
Did that Negro just say that Roy Moore is on the cross and he is being crucified? Let me deal with that. You just had a black preacher compare Roy Moore to Jesus. He's on the cross and he's being crucified. Robert Patillo, attorney and host of CBS Radio Atlanta, Wendell Cepho, political analyst and professor of education, Johns Hopkins University, Douglas Sloan, co-founder of the National Capital Strategy Group. So here you have a black preacher who's sounding like white conservative evangelicals who are saying that because Roy Moore opposes same-sex marriage, because Roy Moore opposes abortion, because Roy Moore was removed twice as a state judge for ignoring the law because he wanted to erect a Ten Commandments monument, we're going to overlook allegations of him messing around with 14 and 15-year-olds. We're going to overlook the fact that the man first took notice of his current wife when she was 15 at a music recital. We're going to overlook all of that. We're going to overlook the fact that he is banned from a mall. He cannot go campaign at that mall because he's been banned. But we're going to overlook that because of his stance on same-sex marriage and his stance on abortion. That is the modern-day Republican Party. And Trump and McConnell got no problem with it because it's not about morality, it's about power.
I agree. This is unprecedented. I have never, ever seen black clergy embrace someone that is so obviously flawed regarding an adult having relations with young women. The only thing that I could even remotely think of that could be related to this would be when Bush in 2004 went out and reached out to the black churches down south and was that faith-based initiative, was able to get all those black reverends and black evangelicals behind him, and then of course what happened?
No. That was in 2004.
Right.
The reason you cannot compare this.
That's the only thing I can think of that's even close.
You cannot compare this because George W. Bush was not messing with 14-year-olds.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Wendy, go ahead.
So let us be clear here. The Republican Party has lost their moral high ground. To say on November 15th.
They had it?
No, they never had it. And this is what I'm about to say. This is what I'm about to say. On November 15th, you come out and say that this man should resign and he should step aside. 15 days later or so, now you're saying it's okay, we're going to support him. This is the same party that says that they value a life that is in the stomach from the moment of conception. But you do not value the life of a 14-year-old that is being basically preyed upon by a sexual predator like Roy Moore. So let me get this very correct here. It is better to have a pedophile because you're trying to pass tax reform and build your dumb wall than to have a Democrat. That is the party of quote unquote Abraham Lincoln. That is the Republican Party.
One second. Shelley, go to my iPad. This is a tweet from Mitt Romney. Roy Moore in the U.S. Senate would be a stain on the GOP and on the nation. Lee Corfman and other victims are courageous heroes. No vote, no majority is worth losing our honor, our integrity.
Well, we as a nation have to decide, do we believe women or not? Are we going to keep doing the same thing we've done for the last several hundred years, or are we going to change paths and actually believe women and hold men accountable for sexual harassment and sexual assault?
Robert.
Everybody who's in this boat needs to go down together.
No. See, I'm not even gonna make this about where we are as a nation. Right. This is about where the Republican Party is.
Well,
Follow me here. Mm-hmm. You cannot, for 40 years, talk about the moral majority. You cannot talk about values and principles and character. You cannot have Pat Robertson and James Robinson and Jerry Falwell Jr. and Tony Perkins and Ralph Reed and Robert Jeffers. You can't have all of these individuals out there talking about morality and how we need to have values. They got the Values Voters Summit, and Sebastian Gorka and Steve Bannon are speaking there. You can't have all of that, and you're holding yourself up as the high and mighty party where you have now the Franklin Grahams of the world who sends a tweet out saying that, with Donald Trump in his lifetime, he's never, this is what Franklin, matter of fact, let me just pull it up here. Shirley, give me 1 second, because I got to pull this up because I need y'all to understand how fraudulent these white conservative evangelicals are. I need y'all to understand how they are some fake Christians, and as I previously said, this is what happened when you are not prophetic, but when you actually put prophet, P-R-O-F-I-T, over P-R-O-P-H-E-T. Y'all, the man actually said in his life he had never seen a president. Here it is right now, y'all. Shelley, go to my iPad. Never, you still see Mitt Romney? Okay, well, let's see why it's still saying that. Y'all, I'm going to read it for y'all. Never in my lifetime have we had a POTUS willing to take such a strong, outspoken stand for the Christian faith like Donald Trump. We need to get behind him with our prayers. Now, this was sent about his comments about Christmas, and so I'm checking. This was sent 4 days ago. Is his support of Roy Moore a strong, outspoken stand for Christian faith?
This goes back to our earlier point. Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love. There is a very distinct partisan difference in terms of how Democrats support our candidates and how Republicans support their candidates. And there is a reason why they've been handing our hind parts to us in these state level elections and these congressional elections for the past decade, because they circle the wagons around their people no matter what. We are fighting Marcus of Queensberry rules, that's boxing rules for those of you that don't know, and they're cage fighting. And they are beating us at every level. And until we learn to fight like Republicans and understand that people are fallible and understand that we need to let our leaders do what we need them to do, which is enact legislation, we will continue to lose to Republicans. And right now, they are the bad guys. We are seeing EPA regulations roll back, civil rights roll back.
Hold on. Robert,
this is the issue that I brought up in the last segment about losing your moral high ground, because everything you just said about John Conyers, you can say about Roy Moore, and that's the argument they are making. You have to make a bright line that if somebody is a sexual predator against anybody, then you have to make sure we get them out of office so we maintain that moral authority. The reason Republicans keep winning because Democrats don't have a message. They think that they can just take the black vote for advantage.
No, that's a lie. Robert, that's not going to work. What you have here is, in the case of Republicans who want to talk about fairness and what's just, but then when you had Senator Patrick Leahy, when he was over the Senate Judiciary Committee, they talked about how we must keep the blue slip process, but then now Senator Chuck Grassley says, oh, I'm tearing the blue slip process up, I don't need that. No, it's about power. And what you have here is, they know the numbers, it's 52-48.
That's right.
They know doggone well Douglas Jones could very well win.
That's
right. So they say it doesn't matter if he's an accused pedophile. We are going to support him, and we need his vote. That's what he. Now that has nothing to do with black voters taken for granted. And what you have is you have white evangelicals in Alabama who dare stand up talking about faith, who dare stand up talking about the Bible and talking about Jesus, and they literally are saying there, we will support a pedophile. In fact, Roy Moore, Robert, wait a minute, last week was at a church in Alabama where he said this is an attack against him by lesbians and by progressives, yet he was standing in the pulpit of a pastor who was convicted of destroying evidence of his son involved in child pornography in another country, and that pastor had him in his pulpit. What that tells me is that they have situational ethics, that they have a situational faith, and it is not about Christian principles. It is about partisan principles, and that has nothing to do with taking it with anybody taking for granted black voters.
But you can't, the Democrats in the Senate do the exact same thing with Al Franken. The party is supposed to be for women's rights, supposed to be for rights of minority. When you're close, when you have a Senate seat you can lose, you support that person.
They said for Al Franken. What are you saying? That's not true. Nancy Pelosi has come out and said that he should now step. No, they are saying that Conyers should step down. That is not the same issue.
Where are they at on Al Franken? They have 48 votes in the Senate. They are not trying to get rid of him.
Well, again, we're talking about Roy Moore here. I've had Al Franken segments. I'm talking about Roy Moore. Why is the Republican National Committee now putting resources on the ground to put a pedophile in the United States Senate? Why?
Because his vote matters more than policy. It's about power.
But that's my point, Robert. That ain't got jack to do with Democrats and black voters. This is about power. This is about naked power.
And that's
5
the same
minutes
reason
ago, we were
why
talking about Conyers. Y'all said, well, we're talking about Trump now. What about Trump and everybody else? That's what Republicans are doing with the Roy Moore situation. When you make it about everyone except the individual committing the crime.
No, actually, it was 16 minutes ago. I was talking about John Conyers because the segment was John Conyers. Now I'm talking about Trump and Roy Moore because it's about them. And so my deal is, I don't deflect. I'm dealing with this right now, and that is the Republican Party has chosen to align themselves to get in bed with, to be joined at the hip of an accused pedophile. And what he is doing, he is pimping God and pimping Jesus for partisan reasons. And that's why I don't want to hear nothing from any of them about character and faith and morality when they don't live it.
And
Coming up
shame
next.
on that.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.